Okay, I see that Freddy is here. Hello, Freddy. I'm also trying to call Patricia. She answers. And Hilda. Okay, so it looks like it's just you and me, Freddy, but that's alright. Now, the first thing that I'd like to ask you about is to please mute your microphone as I'm talking. Then we're gonna do some talking. I need some answers from you, and that way you can unmute yourself. But in the meantime, please mute your microphone.
Hello.
Hello. Okay, it's much better now. I hear you well. You hear me well? Okay, so Freddy, please mute your microphone. I'm gonna start sharing my screen. Thank you. Okay, and I also have Hilda.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. Hey, how's it going? Okay. So I'm gonna write down your names. I have Hilda here. No, she's unavailable. She just ended. So, all right, it's gonna be just you and me, Freddy. I'm gonna share my screen right now, and we're gonna start with this lesson. So, Freddy, can you please tell me if you see my screen?
No. I don't see. I can't see your screen.
Okay, so you just have to give it a moment. It seems like we have pretty bad connection right now. If that's the case, I'm gonna do it just orally. And tell me if you see my screen right now.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm not just start speaking. So today's lesson is just about the CEPT exam. And the CEPT exam is intended, well, at least for this section of the OLC, the online language community, for you to improve your score. So yeah, our main goal is to improve your writing, your reading, your listening. However, when we see it from the perspective of the CEPT exam, there are some hacks, and I call it hacks because they don't really improve your writing or listening, but they will improve your score. So let's start first by talking about the CEPT exam. And notice how I call it the CEPT exam instead of the CEPTO exam. In this university happens that they call it the CEPTO, maybe because it's easier to pronounce. However, if you look at Google and you want to do a research on preparation for this exam, you need to look for the CEPT exam. If you look the CEPTO exam, it's not gonna show up anything. So that's a good idea to start with. Now let's remember what is the acronym about. So Freddy, please mute your microphone. And Hilda, please mute your microphone. Hello.
Yes, teacher.
Thank you. is where you see the microphone. You click on it and it's gonna mute.
Yes, teacher.
Okay, so I'm gonna continue. So the CEPT exam. First, the C is because it's from Cambridge, and the E is for English. The P is for because it's a placement. The T is because it's a test. Okay, sorry Hilda, but I need you to mute your microphone because I'm having too much noise and it's hard to concentrate. Hilda, I'm gonna write it if you don't see it.
Ya ahorita voy a...
Hilda, please mute your microphone. Okay, let me see if I can try to mute. No, I can't. Yeah, I can. Sorry for that. Okay, sorry guys. Now let's continue. The Decepto exam. The C is for Cambridge, the E is for English, placement because we want to assess your level, if you're at A1, A2, B1, B2, and it goes to C1. And, well, it's a test, and what is the particularity of this test is that it's online. We already assume that this exam is online, so there's no need to call it the CEPT. That's why I call it the CEPT. And any information on the internet is going to show up as the CEPT. Right here in this university, we just make the only exception to call it CEPT. So there you go. Okay, so today's lesson is about the CEPT, yes, but we're going to be talking about listening. Now, my main advice, if you really want to have a good score on the CEPT exam, is start reading a book, alright? Pick any book you like, but it has to be literature. I'm gonna write it. Literature. Okay. So if this is the first time that you read literature, I recommend you to start reading Harry Potter. And why Harry Potter? Well, because Harry Potter is quite easy to understand. It's fun. It's about adventures, fantasy, and most of you already know what Harry Potter is about. So if you start reading the novel, you're gonna be able to relate the content of the novel to what you just saw on the movie. So start reading, and that's gonna give you more vocabulary, because listening, according to the CEPT, is all about vocabulary. They're gonna, well, yes, they're gonna speak the vocabulary and you're gonna have to listen. But if you don't know how does it look in the written form, it's gonna be very hard for you to understand. Okay. So let's continue. First advice, as I said, is read literature. If it's the first time, read Harry Potter. The first book is called The Sorcerer's Stone. It's very easy to find if you Google Harry Potter first book. You're gonna get it for free, and you're gonna be able to read it maybe in PDF. You guys know about that, I assume. Okay, now vocabulary, which is what we're gonna work on this lesson. So the vocabulary, according to the CEPT, is mostly about reservations. So reservations, like I need to make a reservation for a table this Saturday because I'm coming to your restaurant. Another kind of reservation. I like to make a reservation to one of your movies. So the cinema. We have cinema. We have restaurants. hotels, parking lots, and so on. What do these topics have in common? Well, they are experiences. Going to the cinema is an experience. Going to eat to the restaurant is an experience. Going to a hotel is an experience, and parking your car is also an experience. For that, we in English commonly use the word book, B-O-O-K, and that is the verb for reservations. Because reservation on its own, this is a noun. We cannot use a noun as a verb. We need to use a verb because we're expressing an action. For example, if I say, I want to reserve a table for 2 in your restaurant. Reserve is not correct because it means to keep on your own. Instead, I need to say book. For example, I need to book a table for your restaurant because I'm coming on Saturday. The book is the verb. What does book mean? Book means to reserve. To reserve. Let me give you guys a couple of examples here. So for example, I want to book a room. That's in the case of a hotel. I want to book a table. Table. That's in the case of a hotel. What I cannot do is use the word book with an object. For example, I want to book a piece of cake. No, you cannot say that because the cake is an object. It's not an experience. And that was that is why I mentioned this thing about experiences. So like going to the cinema, to going to the restaurant. But if we start talking about objects, and we cannot use the word book. For that reason, we need to use the word reserve. So I want to reserve a cake. It's more logical instead of I want to book a cake. Okay, and that is for the case of a book, a very, very important, if not the most important word according to the CEPT exam. Then we have check-in and check-out. Check-in and check-out. All right. So for this, I'd like to ask, Ready, can you please tell me what does check-in mean? If you don't know, don't worry, just tell me.
Check-in is when you go, when you want to stay in a hotel, maybe, or want to take a flight. You can make a check-in before the in the I don't know.
In the first moment. Very
Check-in
well.
is
Yeah, that is a very
this is
good
check-in
example.
is the first piece of something.
Mm-hmm. Like the first action.
The first action, yeah.
Thank you
Maybe.
for that. All right, so check-in is the first thing you do when arriving to some place. For example, if you arrive to a hotel, you need to check in, and that means give your name, give your cell phone number, say how many days do you want to stay in that hotel, and other services you want. For example, you want to have some laundry or you want to go to the gym that's inside that hotel. That is check-in. In the case of flights, we also have check-ins, and it's the same. Giving your name, giving your telephone number, your email address, and so on. Checkout is the opposite. So check-in is when we arrive. When I write it here, arrive. Checkout is when we leave. When we leave. In the case of check-in, normally we give information. In the case of checkout, we usually sign a paper saying we just left. Or in some other places, I know some hotels that do checkouts and you have to pay something. For example, if during your stay you open the mini fridge and you drank a couple of drinks, well, you have to pay for those drinks during the checkout. That is check-in, checkout. So far, we have worked on book, check-in, and checkout. Now, in the CEPT exam, it's very important also to know the differences between this. Let me write it. So, what's a hotel? What's a motel? What's a hostel? And a host house. Okay, hotel, motel, hostel, and host house. So hotel is probably the most luxurious of all the group. It's usually the most expensive. You have your
Teacher,
own room. Yeah.
are you showing this exercise?
No,
Because
I have a whiteboard.
I can't see the screen.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Thank you. Do you see it now? Because it has to do with
teacher.
some problems with the connection. But don't worry. I'm trying to explain myself as much as I can orally, so you get the idea. So we're talking about hotel, motel, hostel,
Okay.
and house. Hotel is the most luxurious because it's the most expensive. You get your own room, and well, there are other services like gym service, laundry, and so on. Now, motel. Motel, in the case of the United States and Europe, is very different from the motel that we know in Colombia. Motel stands for motor. That's engine. Hotel. It's usually a hotel that's designed for people who drive trucks. Where would you find these motels? You most likely find these motels by the driveways. So if you're a truck driver and you've been driving, let's say, for 20 hours, and it's most likely that you find a motel instead of a hotel. Then we have hostel. So for this, I'd like to ask Hilda. Hilda, do you know what's a hostel? Let me no, I cannot unmute you. You need to unmute yourself and speak. What's a hostel? Okay, let's try with you, Freddy. Do you know what's a hostel?
Hostel?
Yes.
Hostel?
Mm-hmm.
I think is similar hotel. Hostel?
It's similar, yeah. But what's the difference?
Similar hotel? Hostel, I think you can share a room with different people, maybe,
Perfect.
or you can only stay for something hours and then continue your trip, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Well, in the case of hostel, that's what I wanted to hear, is that you share a room with more people. Usually hostels are quite inexpensive. They're not as expensive as a hotel or as a motel because you're sharing your room. So there you have that. It's just sharing your room. And finally, we have host house. So host house is pretty similar to the hostel, except it's not a hotel, not a motel, not a hostel, but it's a normal house where someone, let's say a family, is hosting you for some price. Nowadays, it's very popular if, let's say, you go to Spain, you have the opportunity to get a host house for a very cheap price, and you're gonna get acquainted with the culture of Spain, and you're gonna get acquainted with the language and so on. So that is a host house. Sharing a room, sharing a house with a family. Usually you get your own room. Okay, and that's for the host house. Give me just a second, I'm gonna write it.
With home matter, I I think the is the name the person that share the room, homemade,
Ah,
homemade, homemaker.
homemade. Well,
I,
I haven't heard about that term. I know about roommates, the people that you share the room with.
room,
Mm-hmm.
roommate. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the vocabulary that we need to acquire, yeah, before we dip into the listening for the CEPT. Now let's practice a little bit of the dynamic of the exam. So give me just 1 second. I'm writing here dynamic of the exam. Somebody wrote. Give me just a second. Ah, no. I thought it was from this group. So, I have prepared this piece of information. It's a website. And before we dive into this website, I need you to follow these steps. Because the CEPTO, well, first, it shows you one audio. That's gonna be two people talking about what? About reservations. You're gonna get that always, or at least 95% of the time. Then after you below the audio, you're gonna see some questions. Those questions might be fill in the gap or answer to something related to the question. So 1, we have the audio. 2, we have the questions. That is the dynamic of the exam. Now we have to apply a method in order to improve our score. What is that method? First, you're not gonna listen to the audio. What you have to do first is to take a look on the questions. Always, before listening to the audio, read every question. If you don't have so much time, well, read the first part of the question. And then, after you have gathered some generalities about what you're gonna be asked about, then play the audio file. So I'm gonna write it. Methodology to get a high score. Okay, let me just delete that because I misspelled. High score. Very well. Methodologies. First, read the questions. 2. Play the hit button. Or play the file. Play the audio file. Okay. That is the methodology. Now I have here some practice, and I'm gonna share that link with you guys right now on the chat. Okay. I just sent it. You're gonna receive it on your chat. So please open it. And as you guys open it, you're gonna see that the first part of this test, well, you have the audio, you have the click button that's gonna play the audio file, and it's gonna engage the conversation. Then you have question 1 to 6. It says, complete the form below. Write no more than 3 words or numbers for each answer. Alright. Now, what I said before was to take a look at the questions. So look, here I have some hotel information to fill in. They're asking me some attributions, like what is your name, what is the length of your stay, ages of your children, rooms available, price inclusive, payment method, date of birth, address, postcode, and telephone. So according to the methodology, I first need to take a good look on the questions, right? Then I know what they're gonna ask me about. So I click on play. But wait, before you click on play, I want you to know that every audio file of the CEPT exam is gonna show the answer by question. So in the first second, you're gonna see the answer for the first question. Then you advance to the, let's say, 5 seconds, and you're gonna see the second question, then the third, then the fourth. So my advice is, as you are listening to the audio file, go answering the questions. That will be like something like this. Okay, so hit play, and as you hit play, look at the information, and all the information is gonna be showing up as time goes by. So guys, I'm gonna give you let's say I'm gonna give you 6 minutes. Get acquainted with that test, hit play, and the idea is to realize how the audio works and how the audio is gonna show you every answer. So I'm gonna mute myself right now, and after 6 minutes, I'm gonna come back. So go ahead with the link. So this is the end of that look that we were taking on that exam. If you are still listening to the audio, please pause it and come back to Skype. All right. So, don't worry.
Sorry, teacher.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you repeat, please?
Yeah, of course. So right now is just the final moment of that test. Don't worry if you didn't finish. The idea of looking at that test was to see how the dynamic of audios worked. So I'm gonna go back to my whiteboard, and I want Freddy. Tell me, did you see how the audio was? Did you hear? I mean.
Yes, I hear the audio.
And did you see how most of the questions show up as time passed by?
Sorry?
Did you see how was the dynamic of the questions? Like first was
Yes,
question
yes, yes.
number 2, and number 3. So that's the idea of that exercise. I wanted you to see that those tests, especially in the CEPT, I mean, you get the audio files that show up as time goes by. So that's procedurally generated. One final thing to say. So I'm gonna make a summary, and I'll include some tips. So summary. First, don't forget, all listening that you're gonna have on the CEPT exam is all related to vocabulary. So in order to have more vocabulary, you need to start reading more. My suggestion, start reading a novel. Again, you can start reading Harry Potter. It's a very good option. Or you can choose whatever you want. But if you really want to have a high score, it's imperative. You don't know how important it is, but start reading a book. Then, follow the method that I just told you. That is, first read the questions, then listen to the audio. And my final tip, you have 2 times to listen to the audios. So the first time you're gonna need to know what the questions are about. So read very well the questions before playing the audio file. Then you're gonna have a second time to rectify if your initial answers are correct. So let me write it. Tip. You have 2 times to listen to the audio. And that's it. Okay, guys. That'll be everything for this lesson. I wonder if you have any questions right now.
No, teacher.
Great, Freddy. Well, I appreciate your attendance. Also, Hilda, thank you for coming here. This is the end of the session, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Have a good day. Goodbye.
Thank you, teacher. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.